All right, everybody. We are live inside the Real Deal Video Strategist Club. And today we are talking about the new biggest record deal that one of our members has closed. Our member, Brad Preston, closed a $120,000 video production deal. And he is here with us today. And we are going to talk about it and see how he landed it and all that good stuff. So we're pretty excited. Brad, what is going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm still a little bit on cloud nine. I'm about 2 months into this project and it still doesn't feel that real. But it's super exciting. You know, I love what I'm doing for work, and yeah, I'm excited to just get into this. So let's see. So first of all, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Brad Preston. I started filmmaking like 2018. Before that, I actually owned a recording studio. So I had dabbled with some cameras and stuff back in that time. And I decided I wanted to migrate out of doing sound to just focus more on doing video. So I started a wedding business in 2018, and that's called Loon Weddings. Feel free to look me up and check out some of my work. I'm pretty proud of all the stuff I do, but I decided that I wanted to, dabble more into doing course creation, education, stuff like that. And just kind of to give you guys an area of what my growth looks like. So in 2018, I did 10,000 in sales. That was my goal. So 10,000 in sales, 2018. 2019, I did 20,000 in sales. 2020, I did 30,000 in sales, like $30,002. Like I just barely hit 30,000 in sales. All right, so now 2021, given it's not really that big of a COVID year, I'm on par to do about 90,000 in sales. And that's, by the way, when I say sales, I don't mean deals closed, because obviously that 120K deal is a full deal itself, bigger than 90K. I'm talking about revenue that I'm pulling in for myself, that I'm taking home, because I am essentially that 120K deal that I closed is for a 2-year path. And so I need to factor in where that income is going to be actually counted as sales for my personal, my family, my personal use for my business. So, I closed that in August. So I factor in, about $35,000 to $40,000 for this year, and then a much bigger chunk for next year. Either way, massive upgrade from where I was at, a couple of years ago.
That's awesome, man. No, that's awesome. The progression is fantastic. I think that's something that everybody really needs to hear, is that it's possible. You might have those small years when you're starting out, but then it starts to snowball, and all of a sudden you've got something big on your hands. Before you get too much into this, man, I want everybody to unmute your microphones and let's give Brad a round of applause. Let's celebrate his success. That's what I'm talking about, man.
I love these props. I got hit with the money gun earlier too.
The money gun. And you know what? Since it's Friday, dude, salute. I'll have a shot to your big man. That is awesome. You might not have one, but you can.
I have a full bar right there that I
grab a shot. All
right, hold on.
Grab a shot.
Oh wait, I gotta get on this.
Let's get down on this. While they're doing, I'm just gonna keep blowing my horn.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take you with me.
Deal alert. New biggest deal, guys. I am pretty pumped about it. $120,000 is life-changing kind of deal. It's life-changing kind of money. And I am super excited to hear all about this. So once Brad's ready, we will take a shot, and then I'm going to start asking all kinds of questions. We'll open the floor to some questions that everybody that's on the Zoom call, you guys can ask. I am also monitoring the Facebook group. So if you have a question, then I will see it in the Facebook group, either the live or the free group and the paid group. So I'll monitor there. I did put the link to the Zoom. So if you want to hop in the Zoom, by all means, hop in. All right. Oh, did you take the shot without me? Salud, brother.
Oh, no, hold on. Wait, well, hold on.
We're going to double up. Okay. Dang, he's going quick.
We're going to do it again.
Okay.
All right.
Right on. All right.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
To the next guy to beat my record.
That might be a while. That might be a while.
Whew.
Okay, well, let's dig into this, Brad. I want to ask you a few questions about this deal specifically.
Sure, lay it on me.
And we will open it up to everybody else who might have questions and see if we can share some insight that will help them in closing some deals themselves.
Absolutely.
So talk to me about the origins of where this deal kind of started. Was this a contact through networking? How did you generate the lead?
So it's actually really interesting. There is a bit of a backstory to it, so I'm going to do my best to just summarize without going into the details there. But I essentially did a wedding. I think it was like my first or second year. I did a wedding, and the bride ended up being the vice president of this organization. In addition to that, I also helped some guy out of a snowbank who had gotten stuck here one winter. And he happened to be a doctor who worked with this doctor that hired me. So we had two resources corroborate my character, my personality, and my video skills. And then this I call her Dr. B. So Dr. B, she needed to get a video done, and she asked around, and she heard from now multiple resources that I was kind of the person to do it. But more than that, I could do the website, I could do the UX, UI, I could do the infrastructure, and really help grow the business as a whole. So that's where a lot of the confidence came from. I was lucky that I had so many people talking greatly about me, but I still had to actually close the deal itself.
Okay, awesome. So you made the connections through business that you were doing, wedding, and a couple other places.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, talk to me about. I'm only gonna ask a couple questions, and I want to open it up to the audience because they have probably questions that I might not ask that would be more specifically helpful for them. But so once you started to have the conversation, what was the intent? What was the problem that they wanted to solve? Like how did that discussion go? And how did you guys end up saying, we want to create a course to solve whatever it is that I'm trying to solve?
Yeah. And actually I think this is the big conversion point that's going to be really important for everyone. She didn't know she wanted a course. She came to me looking for a video. She does these TED Talk like trainings every year. She does like 4 of them a week in some cases in her busy season. And she's like, she's almost 50. She's thinking about an exit strategy 15 years down the line. She's like, I should be recording these presentations and making them more easily accessible. She's got a great moral ground. She wanted to be able to give these recordings to lower income districts so that they don't actually have to, buy into the actual trainings, which can be, $400 to $800 per training. And after I sat there and listened to her for probably an hour, we just asked questions and I dug deeper and deeper, try to get that golden nugget. I was like, I think that you need, I can do a video, but I think you need a lot more than a video. I think you need a whole course. And then I went into, the whole approach behind why you would build a course and how it actually, there's a huge need in the market for what she's teaching, which for those of you who don't know, Dr. Bilodeau is essentially a neurosensory doctor that helps teach teachers, parents, and industry professionals how to work with kids who are on the spectrum or have difficulty with regulating their behavior. So people who work in pediatrics, law enforcement, there's a huge need for this entire course. So I was like, this is something that's not already in the market. We could probably create it in 2 years, but it's going to be expensive. With that being said, when we launch, you'd likely retire. Like it's going to be well worth it. And that really sparked something in her. She said it's something she's always wanted to do. In fact, she'd actually looked into it in the past, and she said that it was something she couldn't afford at the time. And that's when I asked the question, what was the number someone told you that you couldn't afford? And that gave me kind of like a tone to see where she was at. And she's like, oh, like 40 or 50,000. I was like, wow, that's a good number to start. And then she's like, yeah, so I started saving for 5 years. And so I was like, oh, okay. So that tells me that she's likely at that 40 to 50 mark now. Do you have any other questions there, David, before I ramble on too much?
Sure. I got one more and then we'll
all right.
Okay. So just tell us about the deal in general, the deliverable. So you're creating a course. We kind of got an idea with the problem that they're solving. Mm-hmm. What are you going to be creating for the $120,000, and how long of a time period does it take to create that?
Yeah, so I ballparked about 2 years. And at first it was going to be to film these TED Talk like presentations, which there's 8 of them. And then after we closed the deal, we talked more about how disengaging some of that content is. It's talking about the neurosensory behind regulating your body's behavior, which for a 3-hour presentation, there's not many people that really want to sit through that. And so I did convince her to let's break this down into smaller videos. So now it looks more like, I would say, I wrote it down actually. I would say it's probably going to be like 10 sections, about 6 to 15 videos per section. We've already mapped out each of the sections. She's still writing them, so I don't know how content heavy they're going to be. But I did hire a curriculum writer who's actually helping us with organizing and scripting everything. We've already written one section, and we're working our way through the second one with a rough draft as of today, and starting on the third one while we're working through the final draft of that second section. So we are chugging along. Our goal is to actually launch an MVP for Black Friday of this year.
Explain to everybody what an MVP is.
MVP stands for a minimum viable product. It's what you essentially would want to launch for any given product. Doesn't matter if it's a restaurant or if it's a physical product that you sell or a service. It's whatever you feel is the earliest to market that you can put out for a certain product. And you do that with the intention that the people who buy this are actually going to give you tons of feedback on what they think it's missing, so that you can then build the rest of that product for the market that already purchased it, and to fit the needs of the people who haven't purchased yet, rather than you building something, launching it, and realizing nobody wants it. And to kind of paint a visual, the Microsoft Zune is a good example instead of the iPod, because it was an MP3 player that nobody wanted. The BlackBerry, right? This is a good example of a phone that didn't really do their MVP well. Xbox, they rolled out a double increase in price last month, and then they fired like 2 of their executives and backtracked it because of all the negative attention it got. They didn't do their market research properly, and an MVP allows you to actually do that. So we're going to launch the three sections of the course out of 10.
Awesome. Okay, so guys, just remember that term, MVP, minimum viable product. This is something that can give you a starting point to build off of. When we launched our course, we had an MVP, and we only took in 30 people at the very beginning in our pilot phase of the Real Deal Video Strategist Club. They gave us a ton of feedback. So for those of you who are joining the Real Deal Video Strategist Club this month, a lot of what you're seeing there was built based off of the information and feedback we got from the people in our MVP. So Brad, that's awesome that you brought that up. That's fantastic. Okay. So, and obviously you're creating this over a period of 2 years. So it's more of a retainer situation, I'm guessing, where every month you got some income coming in for the project and you're creating stuff as you go. Is that correct?
So yes and no, actually. I have the full budget. There's literally an account I can go into and pull out the full amount if I want, but I'm young and I don't trust myself. I'd like to get myself a lot of nice things. And so I know my weaknesses, and I decided that I was going to pay myself about $5,000 a month is what I'm giving myself. That is not just what I take home, but that's what I factor in for my graphic designers. That's what I factor in for people who are working on infrastructure. I essentially have 3 lieutenants that are working with me. So one of them is doing the curriculum writing, one of them is doing all of the UX and UI design, and the other one's doing infrastructure. So awesome. I have that factored into the budget as well as what I actually pay myself on top of my wedding business.
Good stuff. Okay, so guys, let me kind of reset, and then I'm going to open this room up to questions because I'm sure everybody has quite a bit of questions. Brad Preston now has the record deal for the Real Deal Video Strategist Club. He closed a $120,000 project to create an online educational course over the span of the next 2 years. I've asked him some upfront questions. He's given us some information, but I am going to open up the room for questions now. So if you are watching on the live stream, go ahead and ask your question in the live stream. If you are on the Zoom and you have a question, go ahead and just unmute and ask. I have a ton of questions, but I don't want to hog the question space. So who's got the first question? Go ahead and send it in if you want to speak up.
I definitely have a couple questions that I could throw out.
Go for it.
So you're running the point on this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing in the actual, like, are you going and filming, or are you doing some editing? Like what of the like not running the point parts are you doing as well?
So I do a little bit of everything. I essentially am in like a project manager, and I've chosen to hire out things that I think I know somebody who's better at it. So like I can do graphic design. I'm going to hire somebody who is an art major that is constantly creating graphic designs for a living. So I'll outsource that. But if I need a quick graphic here and there, I'll actually sit down and do that for the day. The curriculum writing, actually, this is really funny. When I closed this deal, I quit my job at a university that I was trying to leave soon, and I hired my boss as my curriculum writer. So if that's not a turn,
That's a flex.
yeah. So she's now working for me as an awesome curriculum writer, and so I get to kind of step away. At the same time, I'm also still structuring the outline. She's providing the rough drafts, and I'm essentially, she's prepping the dinner, and I'm cooking it. Is essentially what's happening. So we're doing that in a lot of phases. Anything with UX and UI, I'm doing that. Anything with infrastructure, I go through and I do the final touches. But anything that I can outsource, I do. There is a lot of editing, but sometimes I do outsource the editing.
Good stuff. Okay, Derek, I'm going to ask a couple of questions from the Facebook group, and then we'll get back to your second question. I think you have another one, but we've got a couple of people in the Facebook group, so I want to make sure you guys get your question answered just in case you need a jet. So Ben Cryer is asking, how did you price on the job, and how transparent were you with the pricing structure with the clients? For example, how much did you break down the price for them? So I'm guessing what he's asking is, did you give a line item breakdown for everything, or did you just say $120,000 is what it's going to take?
Yeah. So actually, I got lucky when this first happened. She mentioned the $40,000 to $50,000 was what she had been quoted originally, and when she said that, I didn't falter my expression. I was like, well, yeah, maybe for making the videos, but you need a lot of other stuff. You need infrastructure. You need a website. You need someone who knows how to actually market and advertise these things. All of these, you're talking about hiring on employees. I can do all these things, but I need to bring on a team. I need a bigger budget, and I need a longer turnaround time. And so I asked her, I was like, what kind of budget are you looking for? What kind of budget are you looking at? And she said about $100,000 was what she had for a budget. And my heart skipped a beat. And without actually faltering my expression, because again, we were on a video chat, I was like, well, it's probably going to be about 120,000 if I had to guess, because you're going to be looking at bringing in contractors. My hourly rate is $50 an hour for editing, $300 an hour if I'm shooting. Depends what I'm actually doing, because again, I'm coming from the wedding industry where it's a higher price point per hour. I'm like, I need to make this worth it for me to actually leave my job and take on this responsibility. And she's like, we can absolutely get more of a budget. So I was like, perfect. Probably about 120,000, and that's a soft number. I don't know, that could change. She also said she did want to launch an MVP before the end of the year. I was like, that means that we need to expedite certain things, which is actually what leads me to my next part. No one knows about this yet, so I did want to save it for this meeting. When she mentioned that she wanted to launch for Black Friday, I said that would mean that I put in a lot more hours, and it would soak up a lot of that budget up front. So as a compromise, what I could do is I'd be happy to work for a much lower hourly rate. We'll call it just what I'm paying myself, the $5,000 a month. We'll call it for that. I'm going to work a ton of hours getting this out. And in exchange, when we do launch, I want a 20% equity of each sale that I bring in from my sales funnel that I design. So for every sale that comes in, course sells at about $400 to $500 is what we pitched it. 20% of that commission comes to me, and that builds residual income, so that when the course actually launches and I'm done working, I actually have a residual income month over month, year over year, to actually serve as the fuel to grow and build more courses.
So this is bigger than $120,000 because you're getting an equity stake.
Yeah, assuming that it sells a single copy. Again, we don't count our chickens before they hatch, but yeah, there's an equity behind it as well.
Dude, awesome. Awesome.
And 20% is a fat number, by the way. I'm pretty proud of myself for that.
That's a huge number. That's incredible, dude. Great job. Okay, another question from Facebook. What objections were there? And if any, how did you handle those objections? Great question. That's from Hugh Westoff inside of our private group.
Yeah, so she, her biggest thing actually was that she doesn't have a lot of confidence. She's a very beautiful, very smart, very successful doctor, but for some reason doesn't have a lot of confidence, and she doesn't feel comfortable being on camera. She didn't think that she would be a good fit for that. There was a lot of stuff that we had to talk through. I did tell her that, 20, 30 years from now, you're going to be very happy with how you looked at this age. So that's the first thing. But number two, it's your content that people care about. People remember the impression that you leave on their lives, and this lady's literally helping parents who don't know how to relate to their kids and giving them a successful relationship. I've literally met the families myself. What you're putting out as an impact is so much bigger than you being stage fright. Also, you stand up in front of an audience of 3,000 people and give a presentation. I think you can sit in front of a camera and do a couple takes. Not to mention I'll gloss it over and make you look great. So she was like, yeah, that's a fair point. I'm like, also, once we build the bare bones to the course, have your behavioralists be the one that actually come in and do a lot of the course content. You don't have to be the face of the whole business itself. So that was probably the biggest one. She also has a very strong lack of confidence when it comes to the sales. She, and I quote, thinks that we will probably sell about 4 copies total. I think she's out of her mind. I think it's even crazier that she's willing to put this much of a budget into it if she thinks it'll only sell 4. But her stance is that she morally thinks it's something that needs to happen, which is my type of client. She doesn't care about an ROI. I'm bringing that to the table. I promise her that I can make it ROI positive, and that's going to be my goal. Even if I have to work for free to actually drive those results, my goal is to make it ROI positive. But she just wants to make sure that this type of information is easily accessible to low-income areas, low-income districts, for schools, and just really provide value, really give back to mankind in general.
Dude, that is awesome. Awesome. Okay, we got more questions pouring in. So I see Evan Thompson, you got a question. I'm going to get to your question in just a second. And I think 2 more on Facebook. Let me go back to the Zoom and ask anybody else in the Zoom room have a question that they want to ask Brad. I know that Derek had a question, but if anybody else wants to pop up first, go ahead and unmute yourself and send it. No questions? Any, mini, miny, mo. Okay, Derek, what's your next question, brother?
This will be, I'll be quiet after this. I'm doing a course right now for someone, and I'm thinking about pushing it up a level. So the platform you're putting it out on, is it something like Teachable, or is it something that is your own, or?
No, so Teachable was a top contender. I really do like Teachable. I decided to go with Kajabi because I've seen that there's been a lot of really compelling information on how they actually quantify when it comes to their platform itself. They can actually be available on Android and iOS, which is a big sale. That's half of all customers. But also their ability to have quizzes and stuff in it. It just seems like a really ergonomic system. And I think Full-Time Filmmaker ran a A/B test on it with Teachable, and they had like a 5 times better conversion rate with their ads. So that's a big selling point for me. I do really like Teachable. I'm an iPhone user myself, so it was easy for me to really like their app. But I need to think about the other side of the spectrum. And so I think Kajabi was the best platform for it. Not sure how I feel about their UX and UI for designing a landing page. I'm using Showit for a lot of that. But I think they have a lot of other compelling qualities. So I went with Kajabi. And if you haven't upgraded to anything yet, I'd recommend it. I think right now they're doing a sale that's like $99 for 3 months. So
Brad, let me ask you a question. Have you already started building out the Kajabi yet?
Yeah, I've started. I'm at like 7% or something done. It's got like a little progress marker. I've started to design a landing page. I was hoping to have it done for this presentation so that if anyone wanted to follow along, they could actually opt in. Instead, you can just email me, loonweddings@gmail.com, and I'll make sure that you guys get put into the opt-in system. But yeah, we are starting to design it there.
So one thing that I want to put on your radar, and I'm not trying to dissuade you from using Kajabi because it sounds awesome, and we've thought about switching over to Kajabi as well. The reason that we have it, and this might want to be something that you research, is sales tax. Sales tax in the United States, VAT tax, that kind of stuff it has to be collected, and it has to be paid to the taxing authorities where the customer lives. So where are you located at, Brad?
I'm in New Hampshire, which is a live free or die state. So there's like no tax.
Okay. So like, say for instance,
there's
there's not a tax situation, we'll say in New Hampshire, but in California, if somebody purchases a course in California, they probably have to pay tax. So make sure that you're really understanding the differences that Kajabi offers compared to Teachable, because that's one thing that's really weighing on us heavy on the switch, because Kajabi does not handle that, whereas Teachable automatically collects the tax and pays it to the taxing authority.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure how much you've dug into it. I'm still digging into it. I'm still trying to figure it out. And again, I'm not trying to dissuade you from going from Kajabi because I really like their platform. And if it wasn't for the tax thing, we probably already would have switched. But just do your due diligence on that so that you're not running into a problem later. Okay.
That's a really great point. I wasn't aware of that. I mean, we are still at the very beginning phases. I could easily switch platforms if I need to. Yeah, we're still designing the course right now. That's the big thing, but I'm definitely going to have to review everything because I didn't realize that taxes in and of itself is something that I have the luxury of not having to deal with on a day-to-day basis in New Hampshire.
Sure.
You know, there's really only like property tax, I think. That's
Right.
it.
Well, let's talk about that offline. I'll give you kind of the research that I've done and the
Sure.
insight that I have. That way you can make an informed decision. But let's get back to these questions and we can talk about that later. Let's go over to Evan Thompson, who asked a question from the private Facebook page. He said, how did you approach the client to begin with and intrigue them enough to get into a meeting first for a discovery meeting? So Evan, he talked about this a little bit earlier. Brad, can you just real quick 30-second nutshell of how you generated the lead?
Yeah, so I very rarely will go knock on doors. A lot of the time, I just focus on putting out great content and great experiences with my existing clients, and then they typically come to me. If they're not coming to me, it's because I'm not doing enough on my end to actually leave people with that lasting impression. Most of my jobs are people coming to my door. So I did not go cold call. I did not go approach this client. They came to me.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so it was a previous client. Evan, if you want to get more of a in-depth explanation of that, rewatch the replay. And we talked, this is like one of my very first, in fact, I think it was my first question. So great question, Evan. BG here in the Zoom room. BG, did you want to unmute or do you want me to ask the question for you? I'll go ahead and ask the question for BG. He said, what type of contract did you use? And do you have an example of it? So before we get to the answer to this, I'm going to caution that obviously we are not attorneys. You need to talk to your attorney about how you should structure your contracts. But with that said, obviously there's probably a contract for this, Brad. Did you find a template? Did you modify a template? Did you talk to your attorney? Like, how did that work?
I went out and hired an attorney for this. It was $2,500 to have a professional business lawyer go over everything, which was, you know, a penny compared to everything that is at stake here. So I could have gone with Rocket Lawyer for like $60, but I felt like having an actual business attorney was worth it. I also did go the route of having a bookkeeper because I want to make sure that my income going from $30,000 a year with my Loon Weddings business to over $90,000 and then more, I'm absolutely going to get audited. So I want to make sure that I have all my ducks in a row and that everything's clean, organized, and there's no questions for them on the legal side.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good stuff. Okay. Yeah, guys, for a deal like this, you got to have an attorney, right? Like it's not one of those things where you can just find a template and go with a template and that's it. Like $120,000 is a lot of money. And then 20% of each course sale is even more money. If they sell a lot of these, it could be hundreds of thousands, or even if they really kill it, gets into the millions of dollars over the course of the sales of this course. So incredibly important that you have a legit attorney, make sure that your contract is squared
right
away. So
also
very
real
good.
quick, just to answer BG, he did have a second question about the bookkeeper, where to find that. I can't give you great advice on that. I got my bookkeeper referred by my attorney and a really good business friend of mine. So I got lucky there. I'd recommend asking your attorney though, because chances are they know people who they rely on as well.
100%. BG, I don't know if you're a paid member of the Real Deal Video Strategist Club, but inside of our program, we've started to build a network of certain professionals that you can go and hire. So we do have a tax professional that you can hire to do your books. We're going to bring in an attorney to help out with contracts. These are all people that you're going to need anyways in your kind of career as a video strategist. So if you're already in the paid group, those are resources that are available to you. If you're not in the paid group, give me a shout and I'll give you some more information on that, and we can go from there. Okay, let's see here. Ooh, Ash Lucero. I see you, Ash. I'll ask you a question here in a second. Actually, I'll ask it now. What gear are you using? He wants to know about your gear that you're gonna rip out and film this course with.
Yeah, I'm a big gear guy, so I really am super excited to get into the details. I really love Sony. Nothing against anyone else. I just really feel comfortable using Sony. So I got the Sony A7S III. That's worked really well for giving that really clear, great quality of my product. I also have a few Sony A7 IIIs for if we're doing any big, like, any keynote events. I've got 4 of those. So I set those up on a 70 to 200s and just get different angles all throughout the room, a couple wide angles, a couple tights. But mostly my main 2 cameras are Sony A7S IIIs, which I think run for like 3,500 a piece. And I just got the new 85 millimeter 1.4 for the Sony, which is so nice, so crisp. It's heavy. It's really heavy, which I glide cam. So I don't know how often I'm going to be able to glide cam with that, but it's great for interviews. And I also really recommend I think it's the Arc 2, which is done by, there's one by Edelkrone and there's one by Rhino, but they have a nice facial tracking feature. So I've got my main camera that they look at, which is my 24-70 Tamron. And then I've got my Cam B, which is on that, it's almost like a gimbal head that'll essentially, it's called I'll have to look it up, DM me and I'll send you the link to it. But basically it tracks onto their face. So if she like leans back or she does a facial expression, which she does a lot of that animation, it'll actually like pan and track with her. And if she's doing stuff with her hands, I can actually tap something on my phone that makes it actually narrow down onto her hands and, show those as a visual. So it's a great B cam setup to have. It is expensive though. I will say that it's probably $5,000 for everything.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Okay. I've got a question for you. And then we'll open it up to more questions. So you landed this deal pretty close to after you joined our club. But in the post that you had originally posted in there, when you said that you got the $120,000 deal, you had said that the sales trifecta was some extra leverage to be able to sell this and actually convince this person to move forward. So how did the use or the explanation of the video sales trifecta help you to be able to get them to say, yes, that makes sense, let's go ahead and move forward?
Yeah. So her first problem was when she came to me, she was like, I really want to do a great video. I know that it's important. My problem is we've done videos before and people didn't watch them. She's like, we've done Facebook Live videos and people didn't watch them. And I'm like, the problem that you're having is that you're posting a video to an audience that already exists, already knows about your product, and has already likely attended your meetings and doesn't have a need to sit there and watch the same thing Facebook Live. You need a video strategy. I'm like, the first, and this is where, step like video 1 of your course came in. And I was like, what you need is essentially a 3-step plan. We call it the video sales trifecta. You're going to need a promo. That's what we run on social media. And we target anyone who is in the demographic that you want to hit. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but we went into all of those demographics and how to actually do that. She was shocked and a little terrified that Facebook could do all that stuff. But we talked about the promo. Then we talked about the brand message video and how important it was to actually explain the brand that she wants to grow, which we've already filmed the brand message video as well. So she was really happy with that. Number 3, we talked about the testimonial. And I said, this is where it actually drives things home. This is where you want people to see a visual of the other clients that you've had and their success stories and how that actually ties in and relates to their personal lives. Keep in mind that the majority of her clients are parents who are struggling with kids who are on the spectrum or having trouble regulating their behavior. Kids who are literally not coming home at night because they have anxiety about going to school the next day. Kids who, when they go to school, if someone turns the lights off, they have a panic attack. Regulation of behavior is a very difficult thing, especially as a parent. So, I was like, if you bring in somebody who can talk about their experience and where they're at now, which for our testimonial, we have a kid who's now graduating high school after all these years, it like brings everything full circle. All of a sudden, these parents aren't feeling like they're left out. They feel like, wow, here's somebody who is in the exact same position, and I can see how happy I can become if I go through this experience. And by the way, it's a lifetime membership for X amount of dollars. So that was what really sold it to her. It wasn't just posting a video, it was the strategy.
Okay, so guys, I want you to hear this. There is a reason why Mark and I teach to use the video sales trifecta in like the vast majority of your deals. There is a reason why. One, it works. It's proven to work over and over and over again. 2, it's really easy for your potential client to understand the plan and how it's actually going to be executed, and they can visualize that and they see a path to being successful with this investment into your video production company. You're not just saying, okay, let's create a video and not having a plan with it. So Brad, excellent job. I know that you had only been in the course for maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks, if that. And you were able to take that little bit of information, and it really, obviously helped you to explain the plan and make that person more confident in your ability to execute and generate what they're looking to generate. So outstanding job, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, what other questions do we have? If you're on the Facebook or group, send the questions in. I'm monitoring both Facebook groups. I see we had a few more people hop in. Looks like Dom Mann hopped in, Cody Strong, Bob, Jay Lynn, Jeff. You guys have any questions for Brad while we have him here? Let me see if we have anything on Facebook. Guys, if you have questions on Facebook, send them in. Okay, we got a question. Jomi Matthew says, didn't you feel scared to ask for $120,000?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, my heart was in my throat. And my wife was actually having a meeting in the other room, so I had to compose myself. Yeah, I don't know. It was a life-changing experience, but at the same time, my previous job was an amazing job. I loved what I did. I felt like I was giving value back to the community. There's not a single person out of the 2 or 3 years that I was there that I didn't like. Like, everything was great, and I still wasn't happy. So I knew that my next step had to be starting a business for myself and going full time with it. I just needed that out. So I was emotionally ready to actually move forward with that. And I'm still a little scared, it's sometimes I wake up, I do a bunch of work all day, and then I'm nervous that I haven't done enough. But that's part of how you actually grow as a person. Like, you're not actually gonna flourish as an individual unless you're constantly in situations that are more complicated than they were the day before. Sure. If you're not freaking out constantly, you're not in a place where you're growing. You're stagnant. So yeah, I was terrified, but I'm terrified to not be terrified.
Show me. I hope that made sense. It made all the sense in the world to me. So Brad, that's awesome that you're putting yourself in that out of comfort zone. Let me ask you this. How did it feel? Were you surprised when they said 120, we can get 120. I can make 120 happen. Let's go forward. Like, what was your reaction? What was your feeling? Were you taken back by the fact
oh man,
spend that?
Yeah, I mean, I was originally, like, when the meeting started, I was like, I bet I can get 40 to 50 out of this. And when we talked about 120 and how that was possible, my reaction was completely calm, because I was in a video call and I was like, yeah, I've done this before. Absolutely. Yeah, 120, not a problem. Internally, I was just screaming for like 20 minutes until I could actually get off the call and go across the room to tell my wife, which we basically giggled like a bunch of girls for 5 minutes. And then I talked about how I was going to call my boss and quit, which I did. So that was really probably one of the best moments of my life so far. It was extremely exciting. And I can't wait till all of you guys are in a similar position.
That's life-changing. This is a life-changing kind of deal, right? Every single one of you guys that is listening is capable of being able to land deals like this. This is not far-fetched, right? So Brad, for the last, 2 or 3 years, you were hitting $20,000, $30,000 in revenue, maybe a little bit more. It just takes you to continue to put the effort, build the skills that you need. And Brad went in there and knocked it out with the strategy, the idea, the whole execution piece. And now he's, obviously has a life-changing deal on his hands. So I just want you guys to be pumped up. I want you to be encouraged. I know that a lot of times when we hear about these giant deals and you're struggling to land smaller deals, it can be discouraging. Don't feel discouraged, because I was in Brad's spot 4 years ago, right? Brad's here now. You're in his spot that he was in 2 years ago. Just keep putting the effort. It will happen. You will land bigger deals. So let me open it up a few more questions if we have any, and then we'll start to wrap up. Do we have any questions from anybody in the Zoom room?
While we're waiting on that question, I do want to say one thing.
Go for it.
You really have to think big picture. Like, if I had walked in knowing that she was looking for a video and I delivered a video, this could have easily just been a one-time thing and I walked away from it. But I knew emotionally that I needed to find a path that allowed me to move into full-time being a filmmaker. And that meant I needed consistent work, like residual income, stuff like that. So I really was dying to create a course for somebody. I had the skills, I'd already been researching them. So when the client came, I was ready to go. As content creators, you guys need to be thinking about big picture stuff. It's not about the video. The video is the medium. You know, the actual purpose for what you're doing is you're solving problems. So she had a problem that needed a lot more than a video, and I know how to do that. And if I don't, I know how to find someone who does. So these really big deals get like, this can be even bigger. This can be way bigger. This is just starting out for me, and that's insane. But like, you guys can absolutely close something even bigger than this.
Get this in your head, guys. I want you to think, I want you to meditate on this thought tonight. When you're going to sleep, when you're waking up tomorrow, I want you to think about this. You are no longer just a one-off videographer who's going to show up and create a video. You are a video strategist, and it is your responsibility to inform and educate your potential clients as to why a single video is going to be a waste of their time and their money, right? Brad was asked for a single video, and he turned it into a whole giant thing because he advised. He was that person that brought the idea and the strategy to the table and showed that path, right? You need to understand that if you always show up and just say, okay, I can do that one video, cool, I can make that happen, show up and record, you will always be that one-off videographer. Build your skills to be able to go to that meeting and say, listen, we can do one video. I don't think that's going to work for you. I think this is actually what you need. Let me show you what I think. And you will end up in a position where they say, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. Somebody else, Steve Richardson, just posted the other day about how a company wanted one video and he turned it into a $29,000 project with multiple videos, just because he said, you guys want one video, we can do that. It's not going to work, and here's why. Or we can go with option B, which is multiple videos. Here's why you need them, and here's why they're going to work. And they said, okay, we'll go with option B. So just get that in your head. You just visualize that and think about that tonight and tomorrow, because when you make that switch, the game starts to change, and it will change very, very quick. So awesome stuff.
Actually, one thing on that note, there's actually a bigger deal, bigger than this, that I actually have in the pipeline that I don't know if I'm going to close. I have to be humble here, but I do want to discuss it because you talked about, you know, somebody reaching out and saying that, hey, I just want a video. That's exactly what just happened to me with a department store. It's still in the works, so I'm going to try and keep some details vague here, but this department store has about 5 locations in Colorado, which I don't know if you know where New Hampshire is on the map, but I'm not exactly close to Colorado. And they saw a promo video that I had done. They wanted a promo video just like that. We hopped on the call, spent an hour, talked about it, and I was like, hey, I think a promo video is great. I don't think that that's the best use of your time and money. They had the budget and everything, but they saw me actually turning away what they were looking to do. I'm like, I can do it, but how about this? What if I did that for free in exchange for a retainer? I think what you really need is you need training videos, because you just told me you want to grow from 5 stores to 500 stores in the next 10 years. And you're not going to be able to duplicate yourself as the owner to actually grow and scale all these businesses. What you need is a concrete, ironclad, copy paste format for how you actually build your businesses, how you manage them. And you can't be separating yourself like this. You need a quality content creator. And so now they're really, really thinking about it, to the point that I haven't heard from them in 3 weeks because they said they're going to crunch the numbers. And that's something that is probably going to blow 120K out of the water. 500 stores? Are you kidding me?
All right, Brad, let's see if you can break my record. My current record is 280.
All right, we'll see.
Let's see. I welcome it. I hope that you blow that out of the water. So we'll see if you can make that happen. Let me see. I think there's a couple more questions. Let's go to the question that came into the Zoom room. When speccing out video over a period of time, what is the best timeline to propose you'll work for? I'm not quite sure I'm understanding your question. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Hi, David.
Hey, what's going on? How are you doing?
Brother, sorry, my audio is a bit wonky because I'm using my son's laptop. So
No worries. Go ahead and ask your question so we can understand it a little bit better.
So, I mean, what I was really asking for was to find out. And by the way, I'm from the UK in London. So, what I was trying to find out is when I'm specking out the video proposal using the trifecta method that you mentioned so far. Let's say I have given them the spec of what they need in terms of videos which will help increase their sales. I might as well just talk to me. Today, I almost closed a £10,000 deal. However, it didn't go through, mainly because of my presentation and what I was trying to offer them. So basically, I offered to work with them over a period of 6 months to produce the Trifecta videos, and also on top of that, other training videos, because it's a new business and they wanted to obviously have franchises. So just like what Brad just said now, just reminded me.
All right, brother. I don't want to interrupt you here, but what's your question? Let's get to the question, see if we can get that answer for you.
So basically, it's is the value in working over. I mean, I'm going to find out what the best time frame would be to work with a client over a period of time, and how to justify the value that you charge for it.
So it sounds like you're asking, is it better to charge a flat hourly rate, or is it better to charge like a salary type deal where it's like, how do you compose that big number? Am I correct in hearing you? Because your audio is kind of in and out.
Also, just to figure out, I mean, how we can explain the costing to the client when they ask for it, because that was their pain point. It wasn't that they didn't know they needed the service. It was they thought it was too expensive. So I don't know if I shot myself in the foot by charging that high.
So this is always a tricky situation because, you know, value is in the eye of the beholder. This client may think that that's too expensive. But I would say, you know, for example, this guy who's doing the department store in New Mexico, how much did he spend on his AC unit? Right? That's important because people are very hot there, and he thought that was an important value for the business. Why would he pay $2,500 just for a promo if that promo is going to bring him hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales? So to me, I had to explain to him on the same way that he sees his other business problems. You need to actually quantify what that specific item is actually going to do, pound for pound, dollar for dollar. And I think you need to find a way to actually translate that. For me, it was a little bit easier because I had somebody who knew what she wanted to do and didn't know how to do it. And so my solution wasn't, you should do this and this. It was, you should do this and this, but I can help you do it because I understand the schematics of that. So the price point didn't really matter as much because she finally found someone who could do all of it. I think in your situation, if you break it down into dollar amounts, that means that you're a commodity and they're comparing you with other commodities. You're now a videographer and they're comparing you with other videographers. It's the same thing when I sell a wedding film. I sell wedding films for $4,000 on average in the middle of nowhere, and my competitors sell them for $850 in the same area. You're competing for a different client. If somebody's looking for a videographer, I don't want them because they're looking to save money. They're looking to get it for the cheapest price or the best value. I want people who want Brad Preston. I want people who don't ask me what's my price. They ask me what's my availability. So that's how I was able to change the tone of that conversation. I don't know if that helps. I think that's essentially what you're going for is you have a client who's price hunting. You need to find a way to not be a commodity.
Awesome answer. Toyin, are you part of our main program, the paid program?
Not yet. I just joined the boot camp, so I'm just going through on day 15 now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, hit me up later, Toyin. We can discuss that a little bit more. I will see if we can dig into that a little bit deeper. And if you're not part of the paid program, I can get you some information. Feel free to stay in the free Facebook group. There's a ton of information in there that might be able to help you out. But obviously, our paid program, we go in depth into your exact situation, how to kind of come out of that. So I don't want to get into too much into that. I'm going to take one more question, and then
hey, David, can I ask you a question?
Jomi, is that you?
Yeah, I'm on Zoom. Yeah.
Okay, Jomi, give me a second. I want to give the opportunity to anybody who hasn't already asked a question. And if nobody who hasn't already asked a question doesn't want to ask, then we'll go to you. Okay. Does anybody else on the Zoom call have a question that you want to ask? Nobody? Okay, Jomi, the stage is yours, brother.
Thank you. I just had a quick question for Brad. Brad, I was just wondering, so when you presented the solution to this client, I was just wondering, do you use Creately or did you just go Adobe Spark? And I was just wondering how that went about. Did you use just like a laptop or presented it on a big screen? Thank you.
I'm sorry, I really didn't hear a lot of that.
Oh,
I heard laptop and big screen.
no, I was just wondering if you use Creately or Adobe Spark when you were presenting all the various videos the client can use.
Actually, I didn't even do visuals at this point. I was just on a video call and I explained it as best as I could. There wasn't any type of visuals that I had preset. Yeah, I just described it. When it came to actually a lot of the schematics, I had actually driven to her house. She's about an hour away. And we sat down and I showed her some other examples of other people who have done successful things in the same field. But I didn't actually map out anything on like a chart or do like the actual graph. So it sounds like you're asking about a technical question for which platform to use.
Yeah.
If I was going to use one, Creately seemed like the best one in that. And then there was one other one. It was like a Google Draw or something like that that I have used before. That was great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so I got one last question, and then we'll wrap this up. But Brad, so give some advice to videographers who want to land bigger deals. What do they need to work on becoming that's different than just a person with the camera?
Yeah. First of all, I do want to say there's some great resources to start you off, like some great go-to numbers that I can give you right now. The first of which is you should go read the book Launch by Jeff Walker. That's probably what got me in the mindset for actually doing this, how to actually successfully launch a course. Jeff Walker did a great job. And he's done this with tons of other people. It doesn't matter if it's a 10-step process on how to walk your dog. That is something that is super simple. Someone could do in a weekend and they sold it for tens of thousands of dollars. So he's a great resource for any ideas that you have. Another one is Robert Kiyosaki. I hope I'm not butchering that. He wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad and the Cash Flow Quadrant, which talks about how if you really want to get success, you don't work for a project, you work for residual income. You make money work for you. And so that made me thinking, like, I don't want to just shoot video, because what if I like break my legs one day and I can't go film something? That means that I have to completely switch industries. But if I can make a product that actually sells itself over time, I can live off that residual income and retire early. So combining those two, course creation was the answer. And so I've been looking for more and more courses. And by the way, I actually wrote 2 courses that I want to build myself that I haven't had the time to actually do because I've been busy helping with other people. But if I wasn't getting business, I'd be launching my own products, my own courses. So I think you need to think big picture. That's the big thing, is you're not just an ends to a mean. You're not somebody who just needs a video and you know how to do that. You need to be somebody who knows how to solve a problem and teach, and do it empathetically. Do it because it's the right thing, and do it because you're the person who can teach it the best. Don't do it just because you're the affordable videographer, because if you're a commodity, you will not be successful.
Good stuff. Okay. I really appreciate that advice. I'm sure that everybody else out there appreciates it. Guys, Brad is a member of the Real Deal Video Strategist Club. He is now king of the hill until somebody either knocks him off his perch or he lands an even
Come
bigger
at me.
deal. So hopefully the string of new biggest deals will continue, but I have a feeling this one might stand for a little bit. If you're interested, if you're watching this and you want to know more about the Real Deal Video Strategist Club, just send me a PM. I can get you some information. The stuff that Brad is learning and being able to take what he already knows and apply more of what he's learning from all these different resources, the 2 books that he just mentioned, the Real Deal Video Strategist Club. I know you're part of Full-Time Filmmaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like all of these resources he's putting together. And now all of a sudden he has a scalable business. He's a scalable business owner. He's not just a freelancer. He's not just a one-off videographer. He's growing. So if you want any more information about those resources, reach out to him. If you want any more information about the Real Deal Video Strategist Club, reach out to me. But with that said, how about we do this for our new king of the hill? Why don't everybody hop off of mute and let's give him a round of applause again. I'm going to bust out my vuvuzela and give it a rip. Dude, we are super pumped for you. Super pumped. Congratulations on the big deal. And thank you so much for sharing your insight and just inspiring the crap out of everybody, dude. It's awesome.
Thank you, guys. If you guys have any questions that we weren't able to cover, please do not be scared to reach out to me. I'm happy. I've actually done a couple mentoring sessions with people already that heard about this deal and had questions. So I'm happy to set some time aside and answer any questions or maybe walk you through your own situations. With that being said, I am still new to the course, so there is still a lot that I'm learning, but I think I can definitely be a mentor to some of you. So I'm here if you have any questions.
Awesome. Okay, guys, it is 5 o'clock somewhere. So everybody else go out and have a drink and have a great weekend. And we will see you guys next week with more good stuff. All right. Peace out, everybody. Thanks, Brad.
Bye, guys.